Hey everyone, welcome to another PowerApps Academy tutorial video. So today we are going to be looking at patching. We're going to be looking at creating a custom form. We're going to be looking at updating SharePoint with a patch, and also editing rows without having to repatch everything. So yeah, we're going to load from our SharePoint list into a collection. We're going to load values in our collection into our form. We're going to edit fields of that. We're also going to create new records by completing all the fields. So there's lots of little things that you're going to pick up in here, from basic patching to more advanced things. So do stick around and watch it. I'm sure you're going to find this video valuable. Right, before we kick it off, I want to show you something I found which I think is really cool, scary as well. Now obviously everyone's into AI at the moment, but have you checked out how AI is disrupting the music industry? Check out suno.com. You can just type in a few words, like I just a minute ago asked it to make a song about PowerApps Academy. Check this out. PowerApps Academy, the place to be. It's pretty cool. So here's our app that we're working on. You can see it's just collecting some name, first name and address information. It's storing this in a SharePoint list, just a really basic one. You can see it has first name, surname and address, and we can add new records to that, so add new rows into our SharePoint list. But we can also, if we just click on play, we can also select them, and then we can edit fields as well. So something isn't working here, sorry, excuse me. Yep, so we can edit fields as well. So over here you can say, let's say we put in the wrong address, it's actually 67 Stream Road. We can update that. There we go, you can see it's updated there as well. We can also delete rows over here. So we're going to learn about how we've done this, the form, capturing the data, write it to SharePoint, clicking here, loading those values into these fields, and also editing a single field within that row. So lots of little things in here. Hopefully you're going to find it useful. Right, we're going to build it from scratch. So let's head over to our that screen. Okay, so first of all, head over to SharePoint, create a new list. So a new, a new record. If you go to Home, and then you click on New SharePoint list, and then you just create one like this. It's very simple. I've called it table underscore patch underscore demo. And you just create a new column called first underscore name, and then surname, and then address. And they all, this is text. Okay, this is I think this one's just multiple lines of text. Yeah, multiple lines of text. These are single rows of text. Okay, and then the title I've just, so you can make it so it's not mandatory, but in this case I've just filled it in with the person who's logged on to the app's email address, and this is the list we're going to be updating. So if you make sure you create that, and then we head over to the app. This is just an app template. You can actually get this app template from PowerAppify if you go in. It's just a standard app template that you can use for your apps with all this header stuff already made for you. And just if not, just if you've got just a blank screen, just open it up. We head over to this data sources. We need to link it in our SharePoint list. So we go down to add data. Let me type in SharePoint. This is after you've created your SharePoint list. You go in, click your SharePoint site, and then look for your list. This is table.patch.demo is the one I've done it. We connect to it. So basically what this does, connects your PowerApps app to your SharePoint list. So it creates a link to it so that you can use the fields in there and you can update it and that kind of thing. Okay, so that's a really important step. Okie dokie. And then we also want to, I'm just going to build in all the things I need, and then we can configure it. So we need a button. We need a few, let's put the button over here. We need, I'm just going to copy this, copy and paste. There we go, one, Control C V, copy and paste again. We need some text boxes, text labels, sorry, some text labels. I'm gonna have to make that white. Okay, that's one. I'm just gonna Control C and Control V. Control C and Control V and Control V. I need 3 of those. Right, there we go. And I just need all of those to be far right. Okay, and then I'm going to insert some text input. So input, text input, there we go. We're going to have 1, Control C and V, copy those in, 2, 3. Right, this one's going to be address, so it's going to be slightly longer, and then we're going to update these. So this is first name, this is surname, and this is address. Okie dokie, and for these ones I'm just going to remove that text input. I just want it to be blank. It's just otherwise it just leaves text input there, so that's fine. Right, these buttons are going to have functions that we'll set up just now. We want a label down the bottom that's going to say it's going to say person already exists in SharePoint. Okay, and that is going to be in red. Okay, center that. Okay, so we've got that. I'm going to move that over a bit, and then we want to add in a gallery. So a gallery is just basically a way of representing rows that are in a data source. So you can create a filter of whatever's in your data source, or you can put everything in there. Now there are some constraints around number of records, but we won't go into that now. So we're just going to go gallery, vertical gallery. There we go, and we want to link it to our table patch, so our SharePoint list that we're using for this demo. So that patch table, I'm going to put it in there on the side. Right, you can set out the layout. We want, we're just going to go title and subtitle, and we're going to change it around a little bit. So these are the defaults it gives you. You can change these and add new ones. I'll show you how. So we've got what have we got in here? So we've got this item dot title. So we don't want the title. We're using this item dot first name. Okay, so this item is just the record that we've selected, and this one we want this item dot surname. So we can update these fields with whatever we want that's in our SharePoint list. Okay, so our first name dot our surname, and then we want to add in a new one. So if we just highlight that field, we can go insert new text label, and we can move it over here, expand it here like that. I'll just make sure that the writing is white so we can see it on the black background. And then I'm going to change this to the address. We want that address. Now the reason it's showing things is because I've already got things in the SharePoint list. If you're creating the SharePoint list from scratch, you won't have any names in it, because you'll have to create those names by saving those in. So it would just be blank. Yeah. Okay, so what else do we want in here? We want a dustbin, so an icon, so we can delete rows. Sorry, trash, I think it's called. Yes. Trash, so there's a little trash can. We want that to be white. yes, white, and sorry, excuse me, I'll make that a little bit smaller as well so it doesn't overwhelm everything. Okay, cool, and we want these to be very smaller in text size, so I was going to take over everything. 11. Okay, and we want these to be white as well. Cool, and we want them to be nicely lined up. There's James Lawson. Okay, so I think we're almost there. Let's move that over. We want to probably just make this a little bit smaller so it doesn't take over everything. There we go. Make that a bit, drop it down a bit, and we probably want to put a header on that so we know what it is. Let's just, we can select the whole gallery and just maybe just put a boundary around it in white just so it looks nice, and then we insert a label. Put our label as a header on there, so there we will stretch it across. We'll say people saved in SharePoint. There we go. Put that in the middle, and we'll make that 12. And we can do a background color on that. So we can. Oh, excuse me. So we can just go in here. In one of my previous videos, I show you how to create like a settings page, and it just makes it really easy to use your branded settings. So I can just go on the fill on this instead of putting a color in. I can just go settings, and I can just go my bottom bar. You see the color on my bottom bar there, that fill. So what it just reuses whatever that fill color is over there. Yeah. So go back and check that video. I'll try and link it if you're interested. And we're going to put that in the middle. Cool. Alright, that sort of looks okay. It's not ideal, but it's good enough for what we were doing here. Okay, so we've got the basics. I think there's one more thing that we wanted to do. We want to have that update button. Let's just Control CV. Update button over here. Okay, so this is going to go 11. And we're going to say update address. Cool. All right, so we've got the basics in place. Now we want to what's this? This is going to be saved to SharePoint. So we get a save to SharePoint, and this one is going to be clear fields. Right, and then what else do we need to do? We want to rename these, so let's just click on here because we want the names to be meaningful. So we want to go rename text underscore patch, and then we want to call it first name, and then we're going to have this one is going to be text patch surname. Okay, and this one is going to be text patch, text for text box, patch for the demo, and so I know what it references, and then address. Cool. We want to rename these just so we know what they are. So this is going to be rename btn for button, patch for patch demo, and then it's going to be save. And this one is going to be button patch clear, button patch clear, and then update address, rename button patch update address. Okay, cool. So we're not actually going to use this save button, so we'll just cut that out. And this one is going to be just setting some variables and things when you load the screen. Now, normally what you might do is have this on a different screen, so then when people select it, it opens the form screen and it carries the variables that are in here and loads them into here. But we're just doing it on the same screen, similar sort of concept, but because we're not coming from a different screen, I'm going to use this button to set some variables. Like if we had come from a menu screen into the screen, when the screen would load, we'd set some variables, because it's not loading, we're going to have to manually set those variables. So whatever we put in here, we'd put on the on launch property of the screen. So let me go in here. Let me just, is this the one I'm working with? Yeah, let's just rename the screen as well. So this is patch demo. Hopefully that's making sense. Do hit us up in the comments if you need clarification on anything. Okay, so this is, we wanted to call it load page, variables, load page. Okay, cool. Alright, so on our load page, basically we're going to collect this. Now currently this is loading directly from SharePoint, but we want to create a collection, and then we're going to map this. A collection is like basically we're taking whatever's in SharePoint and we move it into a table in the memory of our app, so we don't have to go to SharePoint and fetch it all the time. We're working with it in memory, and then we write it back. So so the first thing we're going to do is create a collection when we click on here. So as I said before, this would normally be done on this on visible. So when this page becomes visible, it would normally load that, and that's normally when you link it from another page. But because we're not linking it in, I'm going to do it over here. So on this button, we are going to go clear collect. Clear collect, which this is the function that creates the collection, the table in memory. So it is, what do we want the collection to be called? I started always with COL, and then I'm going to call it patch demo. I call it the same name as the table, but with a collection at the beginning, because it's doing the same thing, but it's running in memory. And then what do we want to load that collection from? It's from the table that we have and the patch demo. Okay, so that's what we're going to run from here, because we want to create the collection. And then this this collection, you can see it's currently pointing at table patch demo. Yeah, is that what we want it to be doing? Table patch demo. Yes, I think we'll leave that there for now. Okay, right, so what is next? Let's have a look. So the next thing we want to do is we want to click on our save button. We want to load whatever functions we want to do in here, and this is basically patching back to SharePoint. So when we got values put in here, we want to patch them to SharePoint. So we're going to write the patch command. So patch is basically take whatever's in these fields and then write it to whatever column. Like you'll link first name here to this first name. Write it into it'll create a new row. It'll write what is ever in that first name field into this column, and the surname into that column, and the address into that column. That's basically what patch is doing. Okay, so it's quite simple. We go patch. Okay, and we go like that, and it opens up the function, and then we go. So what do we want to patch to? The source is the basically the destination. In this case, the target. So table patch demo. And now when you want to create a new row in this, yeah, in a new row, you use the defaults command. Okay, that defaults, you have to use that to write a new row into your, if it's a database or SharePoint list or whatever, it all uses the same thing. So defaults, and then we just put the table name again, table patch demo. Okay, and then we start writing our mappings in. Okay, so we have title. Now sometimes the title is set to like a mandatory field, so we can just add it in just for, and you can just use this user function. You can just put whatever you want in there really, because we're not using it, but we're just going to put the email address of whoever's logged into the app for this instance. Okay, and then we put a comma to do the next one. Let's just go in order, so it'll be first name, there we go, first name, and we want to map first name. This is why we labeled our text inputs, so patch, so that we know which one it is. First name dot, don't forget the dot, text, so we want whatever the text is in that first name text box, that's what we want to patch in there. Okay, and then a comma again, don't forget the comma, and then we want to do the surname. Quite simply do the same thing, so we want to map that to text underscore patch surname dot text, so the text value within that box. And then finally we want to put the address. Here's the address. Now it knows what it knows, right? Like address is something in there because it knows we're looking in that table, so it's looking at all the columns. And when I start typing in this like surname and address, you can see that it knows it. Look, address, because it knows what's in that SharePoint list, the column. So it just gives it to me, and then again text underscore patch address. We don't put a comma in the last one. We just close it with those curly brackets. Did I open it with a curly bracket? Yeah. So close with the curly brackets, close the open brackets at the end, and then just semicolon at the end just to end that. Now we can format text just to make it look pretty, and that's basically your patch command. So that is going to write everything in. Now there's a few things I want to do after this. Now I've created that collection. Now that I've patched this data in, I also want to update my collection. Okay, so because anything that changes in the SharePoint list, I want to change in that table in the memory that I'm working with as well. Okay, so and to do that, I simply use the clear collect again. So clear collect, I do exactly the same thing. It just basically overwrites the one in memory with whatever's in the SharePoint list. So collection, we've already got our collection, patch demo. What do we want to overwrite it with? Whatever's in our table for a patch demo. Okay, that's it. That's just, and don't forget to you know, highlight your code what you're doing. So updating collection just makes it easier to remember. And then we want to reset our fields, right? Because once we've patched it in, we don't want like the name and the address to stay in there, because if we want to add a new one, we don't have to go and delete that all. So we want to reset fields, and then we go reset, and then txt underscore patch underscore. I'm just going to copy that because there's 3 fields we need to reset. Control C, patch. So we want to do first name, semicolon, Control V, surname. Close that off. Now we don't put text in this because we're just resetting that, you know, that field. We're not the text in it. So it just removes whatever's in it. Okay. And then address, patch address. Okay. And then what else do we need to do? Notify the user. Yeah, we don't just want people to think that it's been updated. We want to let them know. So we use the notify function, and that's simple. Notify, open what the message we want to tell them. The detail has been saved in SharePoint. Okay, and then we want it to be a success message type, and we want it to show for 4 seconds, which is 4,000 milliseconds in here. Close it off, right, and then we are done with that part so far. Cool. All right, let's just see what we've got here. So I think we've got the save button. Shall we test it out and see what happens? So let's try Luke Skywalker address. Oh, you can see now it's locked as a single line, even though we've set it on our SharePoint list because we've manually added this in. We need to go in here and change it from a single line to a multi-line. Okay, we've done that. So let's come back to it, and we want to put 101 space drive Hollywood. Just making this up by the way, obviously. 44 PD, whatever. Just okay. So let's see if that saves to SharePoint. Yes, it looks like it's saved, but nothing has happened. Let's have a look. Right, so something's not working. Let's go back. You can see there's a red mark there. Let's see what's going on here. Patch. Oh, I've forgotten. Yeah, to put text. I think that's going to be the issue. Let's try again. Oh, still an error. Strange. Let's just try again. Luke drive just whatever, I'm just putting anything. So save to SharePoint. Okay, that's working now. You can see it just added in the new row there, so happy with that, and it cleared all the fields there. That's good. Okay, so now we want, so when we click on one of these, it updates these rows over here. So let's click on one of these. You can see nothing happens when we click one of these. Okay, so what are we going to do? We want to first of all, I suppose we want to go, we don't want it always to fill up. Now there's this property that we're going to use to do this called default. Okay, so if we click on here, there's a default in here, which is basically what is the default value of this, and at the moment it's nothing, so there's never going to be a value in there, but we want it to be we only want it to be filled in if there's something selected in here, right? So there's a bit of trickery we've got to do, because if we just put whatever the gallery is, whatever's selected is always going to default to the first one and always put in here. So I'll show you what I mean. So if we go in here and we put what is our gallery called? Gallery 1. So if we go gallery 1 dot selected dot first name. Okay, so it's the top one's always selected by default, so it's and then this one we're gonna go to default. Oh, and we're gonna go gallery 1 dot selected, which is whichever one's got this little line on it, you can see. Dot selected dot surname. Okay, and then this address, same thing, but address gallery one dot selected dot address. Okay, so but we don't like, if we were coming in here as a user and we first loaded it, it would just load the first line, right? And we don't want that, because then I'd have to clear all the fields manually. It's a user experience thing. So how do we get around this? This is where you have to use some trickery in it, right? So a little bit of trickery here, and we're going to use variables, right? So we're going to say, actually, we only want to show a name, a default name in here when someone selects here. So we can say, well, when they click on this button, create a variable, set a variable value, and then we can say if that variable value equals like clicked or true, then show that, otherwise just leave it blank. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So we're going to create a variable called, and to do that, there's different ways of creating variables. We only need a contextualized variable. That means it only works in the screen, not a global variable. And to do that, use update context, which is just to create a variable that works in the screen. And you put these squiggly brackets, and then you call it var gal. It's just a gal selected, like the gallery's been selected, and we're going to click that to true. Okay. So so when we click that, it's going to select that this variable, and it's going to make it true. Okay, so we can go back to this, and we can put an if statement in. So we go if, have a look here. So if var goal selected, which is the one we've just created, equals true, right? Then make that that default value that first name. But if it's not true, then just make it blank. Okay, so now you can see it's blank because I don't think I've clicked on it. So let's use that same thing for all of them. Let's just copy that, Control C, do it for this one as well, Control V. So if true, otherwise, if it's true, then set it to that value, otherwise set it to blank, close it off. And the same for this one, if statement, otherwise set it to blank. Cool. Alright, so that looks good so far. So let's just see what happens when I click on one of these. Okay, cool. Now we can see it's filling it in. Yeah, alright, now let's also do our clear fields. I think we can just use what we put in here. Clear fields, Control C, boom, clear fields. So for when we unselect and click on this button, we're going to clear all our fields. Cool. So what do we got now? So we've got our things over there. We clear our clear fields. Why isn't that working? Just sure why. I think we've got to. It's because we've got to set that variable, right? Because if we want to clear these fields, we've got to set that default variable, right? So we've got to set that to false first. Otherwise it's just looking at the default values. Even though you clear it, it'll still look at the default value, which is the selected row in the gallery. So it gets a little bit tricky. Hopefully it's making sense. Okay, so let's just test it out again. So we want to select Terry Timms. There's an error with his address. It's selected. Now we've still got to do that part of it, but it's selected here, but we can also clear it. I can select another user, clear it, select another user. Okay, so these are all saved to SharePoint, right? So we don't actually, we don't want to save it again. We don't want to duplicate in there. So at the moment, you can see if I click on, no, oh my gosh, now I've got two of the same. We don't want that to happen. So how do we prevent that from happening? And to do that, we can look at disabling this button when there's a value in here. Okay, so let's head back to see what we can do here. Right, so save to SharePoint button, and we want to find the this button over here, this property, which is called display mode. Okay, display mode allows you to create it whether like a button's grayed out, or if it's people can click on it, or if they can't click on it. If it's grayed out, basically you can't click on it. And we're going to use an if statement again. Always, guys, if you don't know about the if statement, you need to learn about it. It's really important. Use it all the time. Okay, so if now we're going to use a lookup. So we're going to basically look up. We're going to say if the first name and the surname match a row in the SharePoint list, then make this not clickable, because we don't want to add someone with the same first name and surname. Now, there's obviously, you might get two people with the same names if you're doing this in a production app, but then you would use something else like an ID, like a number or something that's unique to them. And if that's, so I'm just showing you in the simple example how it would work. So if we want to do a lookup, now lookup goes and like looks up for a value on a condition in your SharePoint list. So if lookup call patch demo, if first name, first name in my SharePoint list, if the first name equals the text underscore patch first name dot text, don't forget the text part, if the first name of the SharePoint list equals to the value of this here, and because we want to do both the first name and the surname, because it's less likely you can have someone with both names, both the first name and the surname. So and surname equals text underscore patch underscore surname text, right? So the result we want to so if those exist in the SharePoint list, then return a value of true. Okay, so it's returning true because if those exist. If those didn't exist in SharePoint list, the first name and the surname, Luke Skywalker, if Luke Skywalker didn't exist in the SharePoint list, then it wouldn't return true, right? So we're saying if the result is true, if the result of the lookup is true, so if true is returned, then we're going to set display mode to disabled. Otherwise, we're going to leave it enabled. Display mode edit. Enabled is edit, by the way, if you didn't make that out yet. Right, cool. Hopefully that made sense. So let's quickly run through it again. So we're doing an if statement. The first part of the if statement is doing a lookup. It's looking up in our collection to see if the first name and the surname exist in there. If they do exist, it'll turn a true. So this whole lookup is now being applied. So the lookup's going to return a true. Does true equals true? Yes. So then it's true, and then it will execute the disabled one. If it's false, then it will skip to the display mode edit. Okay, which means that I can save it to SharePoint because it doesn't already exist in there. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. And that also means that I can't save something that's there. So we've hopefully understand that. What else do we need to do now? Let's just play this quickly. So we're gonna clear fields. Okay, now we can see, you can see it, we can save to SharePoint list. So we also want to go to Terry. We want to be able to update address. So update address. Now, because this already exists in SharePoint, we only want to update a change to the address. And to do this, let's go back, click on this button. I'm going to set some code on this button. Now we're going to use something called, it's like an if statement, but it's called an update if. Works similar to if, but this time you're using you're going to update if this happens, right? So first you can see what's the collection you want to do. So we're going to update our table, because that's we'll do our table and then we'll load our table into the collection. So table underscore patch demo. What is the condition? We're going to use the same thing. If the where the first name and the surname equals whatever's in the text boxes over here. Okay, so it's exactly what we did on the display mode there. So first name, where first name equals text underscore patch dot first name dot text, and don't think it's double and surname equals text underscore patch surname dot text. Okay, where that happens, then we want to update, yeah, and we want to go update, and the only thing we want to update is the address. We just want to update the address for that row where the first name and the surname match. And we want to update the address with this text box underscore patch underscore address dot text, whatever text is in there. I'm going to close that off like that. Okay, cool. What else do we need to do? We probably want to, they've done the work on that. So we can just reset the fields afterwards, just so it makes it, I don't have to push another button. So let's go back on here and then go reset fields. We also, what else do we want to do? Notify user when we make a change. So notify user, and what do we want to say? Address for this user has been updated, and we want this to be a success message, and generally 4,000 milliseconds is enough. Okay, and then we also, because this action was on the table, but whenever we do an action on the table, we have to do a clear collect, update collection. So update the memory with what's been updated in the table. So clear collect, and then we want to call patch demo, and we want to do that from table patch demo. Cool. I think we don't always want to be able to update the address, only under certain circumstances. So can anyone guess how we think we're going to do that? That's right. So we want to use display mode again. So what are we going to do on display mode for this? We're going to go back in display mode, and we are going to go we'll just link it to this. So if this is grayed out, right, it means we've got some details in here that we don't want to save to SharePoint, then we want it to be the opposite, right? So we can just use the if statement. I'll show you how. So we can go if if our button patch dot save dot display mode if the display mode of that button is equal to edit, okay, if it's display mode edit, then we want to have this display mode as disabled. So basically, if this is edit, then disable this, otherwise enable that. Okay, so it's basically like a inverse one. Display mode disabled, otherwise display mode edit. Cool. Alright, good. Now we can see that works. We can update the address, but we can't save this again. So let's try it out. So let's say that's the wrong address. It's actually 99 Barnacle Road for Terry Timms. There you go. 99 Barnacle Road updated, or let's say it's 1099. Cool, you can see it's updated. Okay, so that way we are manipulating data in the SharePoint list, but we're not patching it. Patching is like for a new record. Cool. I think we've pretty much done this. So I think, is there anything else? I think this, yeah, we can leave that. I think on this, the only last, the last thing that we can look at is how to remove the rows. So when we've got a duplicate in there and we want to delete it, or if we just want to delete a row, how do we do that? So, oh gosh, there's nothing happens when I click on it now because I haven't put any code on it. Cool, so we have to put some code on. Just remember with these galleries, whatever you do in the top row, it sort of copies it to all the settings on the other rows. You only ever update the top row. It applies the settings all down. Okay, so we don't want to select parent on this. We want to use the remove if. Remove if, another sort of if statement, but this time it's performed like the update if. This is remove if. We want to remove if on our table patch demo, and now everything in SharePoint has an ID. It's hidden now because when you copy everything from SharePoint into your memory, it knows there's an ID, and that ID matches, and it's called ID. So you can just call if ID. Yeah, you can see, oh gosh, there we go. It knows it. You can see it there. It knows its ID. So if ID in SharePoint, with this SharePoint list, there's a automatic column called ID. We didn't create it, but it exists. Is equal to this item.id. Yeah, then delete it. Remove if in this table there's a column called ID that matches this item.id. Okay, and then we want to update the collection again, right? Remember, clear collect. Every time we make an update, we want to do a clear collect, and we want to update our collection, patch demo, with the table, patch demo. There we go. Let's see what happens. Okay, so we've got a duplicate there. We want to get rid of that. Let's hold our fingers. Hope it works. Hey! Awesome. Yes. Okay, so shall we just add a new one? Just test it all out. Ben Gardner. I hate making up names on the fly. 11 Dove Drive. Port Bello 88Y5 UK. Right, let's say save that to SharePoint. Yes, it's in there. Oh, it didn't. You can see it didn't delete that after we saved it. It stayed there. So I think what are we doing wrong? I think it's something to do with the variable. We need to put it in there because we haven't done that. It doesn't allow you to reset, same as the other ones. Yes. Yes. Okay, I'm just gonna copy this in. Let's just do that quickly for you guys. Because we're resetting, I think we're resetting. Oh, display mode. Let's go on to on select. Do we do the reset? Yeah. So let's just. It's not going to reset. Remember, it's not going to reset the field unless we set that variable that we're using to false. Okay, let's check this out. Play. Clear fields. Let's try Jim Harper 11 drive. Right, save to SharePoint. Yeah, let's save to SharePoint. Ah, there we go. And it deleted, and I got my message. Awesome. Let's say we wanted to California. Update address. Yes. Got it. Delete. Yes. Alright, so it's working. Hopefully you guys found that useful. I forgot to say, smash up the likes, guys, please. Like, subscribe to our channel. Can't believe I forgot about that. But we'd love to have you. We'd love to get notifications of our videos. So hit it up. I suppose I could try and play that little song towards the end. In the heart of the bush, where the nothing's wrong, there's a bush. PowerApps Academy, a place to be. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Have yourself an amazing day. We're coding and creating just you and me. Soon with some more content. Smash up the likes. Learn about PowerApps, it's our specialty. Come on down, join the community. Building applications, it's a piece of cake. Like the words. With PowerApps, there's no limit, no mistake. From beginners to experts, we'll make you great. Unlock your potential. It's never too late. Code all day, dance all night. PowerApps Academy. We're shining bright, learning never stops. We're reaching new heights, join our revolution. It's a beautiful sight. Can't believe AI does this. Pretty amazing. Alright guys, we're going to leave it there. Have yourselves an awesome day. Catch you later.